Welcome to a brand new episode of Sequel Rights, the podcast where we take a look at the franchises that make you go, this year we watched a lot of sequels. And we gave each and every one of them a fair trial. My name is Justin Camps, and I'm here with
Elizabeth Helly
and
Tyler Hymanson.
And we are here tonight for our final Christmas Story episode where we're going to talk about
A Christmas Story.
live. Not that the episode is live, but
A Christmas Story.
Was live when it was, when it aired on Fox.
Very clearly so.
Yeah. So this is our, this is also going to be our last episode for the year of 2021. Good riddance. Moving on to 2022. But before we get too far into things here, Eliz, where can people reach out to us?
Yeah, we need your suggestions for franchises for next year. So email us at sequelrights@gmail.com, or you can reach out to us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Sequel Rights.
And please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. 5 stars goes a long way to helping other people find the show. Also, leave in the comments what your suggestions are for your favorite January-based sequel and franchise.
Oh,
Because we need some January movies.
we want to talk about movies that only take place in January. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
Oh man. Well, not only are we here tonight to wrap up A Christmas Story, we also have a special guest, right, Tyler?
That's right. We have a good friend of mine, Mike. He just reminded me how to say his last name, and I'm going to fuck it up. Sorce, yes?
Sorce.
Sorce.
Yeah, like
Okay.
I knew it, and then anyway. But yes, Mike is a writer and all-around nerd and a listener of the show, and he was kind enough to come on our last episode of the year and talk about a musical, which not everyone is willing to do.
Oh.
Yes, thank you very much for having me. I know that I'm here because I'm a huge fan of Pasek and Paul, and unfortunately that ended here, but we can get into it.
Sick burn.
I was a huge fan.
And that's right.
Yeah. Goodness.
I will. I know this is an audio medium, but I'll show you guys so you could react for the audience.
Right.
This is my copy of the Dear Evan Hansen soundtrack on vinyl that is signed by all of the original cast members.
What?
Broadway.
They didn't all sign on the
Broadway.
cast. They should have just
No,
signed on the
just but you
cast.
can see Ben Platt signed right on the
Oh my God.
That's crazy.
Wait, did you stage door for that, or did you do a charity auction or something?
I am honestly struggling to remember how I got it, but it was not difficult.
Interesting.
It was some sort of giveaway or something. I don't remember how I crossed paths with it. But I am a huge fan of Dear Evan Hansen. I'm also a huge La La Land fan. But this one was not cutting it.
This year.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll get into it.
Yeah.
What is your, knowledge of the Christmas Story, apparently franchise, or the movie anyway?
Yeah, well, until now I had only seen the original. And it's one that my brother and I often watch around the holidays. But my dad hates it. So we usually try to watch it once during the holidays, and he always kind of protests. So we don't always get to see it. But, TBS or whatever used to do the 24-hour. Yeah, so we'd always catch one of those. I'm a big fan of the movie, and it was interesting. I haven't seen it in a few Christmases now, but it really struck me this is just such an American movie.
Yeah.
Right? A kid who desperately wants a gun.
Yeah, give me that gun.
Yeah.
It's an air rifle BB gun. Gotta have it.
Oh man,
Yeah.
if I had to hear him sing that refrain one more time on this,
Oh my God. It came back so many
it
times.
was too many.
Well, there just wasn't that many songs because they just kept repeating them.
Right.
Yes.
I was
And
gonna say
yet
the same
somehow
thing.
too many songs.
All right. Whoa. Okay.
Wait, let's hear the commercial?
Let's get into it. We're talking A Christmas Story live.
And doing a live show makes everyone nervous, including the actors.
I'm a veteran, but I still get very nervous. And This is particularly nerve-wracking.
I always get nervous when I have to sing, but this is a different kind of singing. And yeah, and like the dancing, yeah, but I don't have to dance like you do.
There's just a lot more that you can't control. Whether the track comes in on time, whether the feed cuts out. I mean, there's a lot of things that are kind of terrifying.
In Hollywood, Michelle Polino, Fox News.
Again, you can watch A Christmas Story live Sunday night at 7 right here on Fox 5.
A lot of fun.
Is that the only commercial you could find?
There were no ads.
There were
on
no
YouTube,
ads?
No.
Oh my God.
It was all just like behind the scenes things and nothing that said. There was no thing where it was like the announcer was like, "Oh, Christmas Story live tonight." There's nothing like that.
Wow.
So that's all I got. Yeah. There's not. It's sometimes hard to find, ads for TV things on YouTube unless it's really old. It's not that old.
They treat these live musicals as so like disposable too. Like it's just one and done.
Yeah,
they really do. I mean, the history of the recent like bout of these live musicals is like fascinating and very depressing.
I can't remember if it was on the episode we were talking about Annie. That we both watched Annie.
Yeah, we did watch Annie. So the problem is, and we'll get into this one, is that when you have a Broadway musical that is already probably like 2.5 hours long with intermission, and then you put like commercials, like the thing ends up being like 3 to 4 hours on TV.
Marathon.
And even this, like even though we saw it without commercials, if you watch it on Amazon, it's without the commercial. It still feels like 3 hours long. I don't know how. I didn't look at how long
it's longer than 2.
It was 2.5 hours.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it felt so long. So.
It may not have commercials, but they did keep those bizarre interstitials with like the firefighters and the rescue dogs.
That was hilarious.
Yeah, they kept saying the dogs are rescued from a zoo in Japan. I'm like, what? I'm sure they were fine. Like,
they're like, you might have noticed that these dogs look different than the Bumps' dogs in the movie, but don't worry.
But yeah, we rescued them from this filthy zoo in Japan.
And then they found a home with one of the trainers on the
That's
movie.
the implication. Like, I'm sure the zoo was fine.
Maybe they were like stray dogs that were living in a zoo. Either way, the sentence needed to be longer. I needed more explanation about the zoo in Japan.
Yeah, they have dogs at the zoo? Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway,
look a dog.
That sounds like a Beethoven sequel waiting to happen.
Yes.
Well, before we get too far, for those of you who don't know what this is about,
right.
Christmas Story Live follows the story of the Parkers who are being haunted by their very real ghost of Matthew Broderick during the entire holiday season.
Yeah.
So, okay, like I get what you're saying, but I did actually like this like device, especially if you think about it coming from the stage play. It's a good way to just bring in somebody to be the narrator.
I know. I just thought it was.
I agree. It was one of the few positive things I wrote down.
Yeah.
I also think Matthew Broderick is good casting for that type of role.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and he didn't like try to do like an exact impression of Gene Shepard's voice. He just did like his own voice, so it was nice.
Yeah, it was almost like a whimsical Ferris Bueller is what he was doing. I really, when I heard that he was the narrator, I thought that we wouldn't see him or maybe see him at the beginning.
Right.
And I was very pleasantly surprised that it was very well integrated. That being said, the ability for that to happen was with this large flowing Steadicam. The camera operators for this deserve a goddamn medal.
Right.
Yeah.
But B, holy shit, is this nauseating to watch? Not just because of the content that's up there, but the camera is so dynamic and trying to frame it. It's ambitious as hell.
Right.
But it didn't quite work. And it's the roughest it is in the first living room scene as it's just flying the fuck around like Sam Raimi's back there.
Right. And so I, admittedly did not watch every single live musical on major network TV, but
then why are we here?
I know
you didn't
that
do your homework.
It was way back when they used to do them all the time, like Cinderella with the Leslie Ann Warren one and stuff, and they would do them in these big empty studios with no audience, and then they brought it back with Peter Pan and Carrie Underwood's Sound of Music, and they did it that exact way that they used to do it in a big ass empty studio with no audience, and it was so painfully awkward and stilted. They were horrible, just awful, like not good at all. And so Platt comes along and they're like, we're going to do it the Fox way now, we're going to, and they do Grease, which actually is like, oh, whoa, that one was actually good because they had audiences for a lot of, not every scene, but a lot of the scene, they have audiences or work audiences into the scene somehow. And it helped so much. Like Grease was the first one where everyone didn't feel like aliens, like, and so, and then, so this is that whole team again, and they basically did this one the same way that they did Grease.
Yeah, those other ones without the audience do feel like there's a firing squad just off camera that's just dance, sing,
or else.
Yeah.
It was definitely like very technically impressive.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I could see the nauseating aspect, but that first sequence is so impressive. How everyone's moving around and the camera's falling out. I mean, it's wild.
Yeah, and Maya Rudolph has her whole like "What It Takes to Be a Mother" song, and that the choreography of that, they actually nail it, and everyone's in sync. That sequence is incredible.
Yeah, and there's like, I think, I mean, we can get into like our overall thoughts eventually, but like, I think the production of it was definitely like the highlight for me.
Yeah.
I mean, there were so many things that was just like, wow, that's really impressive. And like, one of the parts that I remember that I thought was really funny, I think it was during the major award sequence.
The costume change?
Yes, the costume change. Where it like zoomed in on his face, and I was like, they're changing his costume. I know they're doing it. And then it comes back out, and he's got tux. And I was like, that was just, I mean, that's like just really cool.
And they rotated him, so he was on a new set too, even though he didn't move.
It was crazy.
They clearly knew that was the most impressive part too, because during the credits, they showed like how they did it.
Oh yeah, they showed the behind the scenes of that part specifically. Well, especially because at the end there's a montage and behind the scenes stuff, which they had to edit as they were doing it to put it on. But I love the
that didn't even occur to me. That's crazy.
He has like a montage in the last song, and I was like, that happened like 2 minutes ago. But anyway, I really loved the set of the like leg lamp Oscars, because it was like a big arch made out of leg lamps. Like that was hilarious to me.
Leg lamp dancers. That was pretty great. Yeah.
So anyway.
That was definitely one of the cooler sequences, but that was the first time I wrote down, this has to be the worst song.
The major award song. Yeah. It's I love that you said the thing about a lot of repeated stuff, because I do feel like there's about 5 songs, and then they reprise them 100 times the rest of the musical, which is kind of weird. Or it's either that, or there's like it's like a variation, like there's that like Nightmare song, but it's kind of like a weird variation of
it's like, well, what if we did the song in a minor key?
I know. It's
did anybody see this musical, or know anybody who saw this musical, and was it well reviewed?
Not particularly.
Okay.
I looked it up because it had a kind of rocky. So apparently it like premiered in 2009 or 2010.
Oh shit!
Like in some other city, written by completely different people and a totally different thing. And then they were like bad, and so then they hire Pasek and Paul, who are like not even that far out of college. Like I don't think they had really even done. This is like one of their first gigs. And so then they rewrote everything, like all the music, anyways, and re-put it out, and it came out like later in 2010, I guess, and off Broadway, and then sort of like by coming out every December, like worked its way to Broadway for the 2013 Tony Award season, and it was nominated for a few Tonys but didn't win anything. And then so that's like 2010, 2013, 2015 is Dear Evan Hansen on stage. 2016 is La La Land. 2016 is the Grease live musical, and then this is 2017.
I see.
And so, and Greatest Showman came out right after this. So at this point, everyone in Hollywood was like, these guys are golden. Everything they've ever done is probably genius. Let's go back and dig it all up and put it out there as quickly as possible.
And guess what we have the rights to, baby?
Right, yeah. So, that's basically what happened.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah. I mean, it's a meteoric rise, honestly. Like from 2010, less than 10 years, they were like Oscar winning.
What I found super interesting too, like I guess like it's interesting to know that this is like one of the earlier things that they did. But then like when I was thinking back on like, oh, what songs did I like, and like what was my favorite song or whatever, like the songs that I liked the best, when I went back and looked, like they wrote 3 new songs for this performance. And so, like, they're further along in their careers. You know, they're probably, better songwriters.
Right.
And when I was thinking about the songs I like the best, two of them were the new songs that they wrote.
So, the new one was like the opener BB Rexa thing, and then the
Which I think is
Hanukkah.
a really fun song.
She looks like a Who.
She does, yeah.
The whole Hanukkah number was completely new, and then I forget what the other one was.
The Hanukkah song, I thought was like one of my favorites.
I thought it was cool that they had anything about any other religion at all, and I was surprised to find out that wasn't from the Broadway version.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I just think that's really interesting. That so maybe they really were better songwriters at that point.
I'm sure anybody is. You know, like,
I mean, you hope. I hope that I'm better.
I would hope. Yeah.
Right.
It's interesting.
I'm not super familiar with BP Rexa, but I struggled with the first song. We were off on the wrong foot, my wife was working in the other room, and she told me afterwards that during the first song she had to shove a blanket in the door crack to try and muffle it more.
I'm gonna have to text her an apology.
I like that one.
Oh my goodness, it was very poppy and cute. I thought maybe that was just like her Christmas song, and they like tacked it on.
I thought it was maybe a product placement for the Gap.
No. This is sponsored by Old Navy.
Yeah.
Although Old Navy is part of Gap brand.
I think one of the things, and I don't know if this is a larger thing to tack on at the end, but this is one of the sequels that we have done that is actually trying to actively engage with the legacy and maybe some of the more problematic issues.
Right.
And we kind of mentioned it with the Hanukkah song, which I think is a good addition.
Yeah.
There's some other additions that are maybe not, I don't know if it's something that we want to touch on as we're going through it, but I do think it's an interesting, just from a sequel standpoint, I don't think we've had a ton of entries that have done this.
Yeah.
Certainly Rambo Last Blood did not do this.
Right. I mean, like, that's when you Google this, like, this whole issue with the Chinese restaurant scene is like what comes up, like, even more than articles about the fact that this thing existed.
Really?
People are like, Ken Jeong and the Philharmonic. I keep wanting to say Philharmagic. That is a ride, a Disney Philharmonic, which is a Filipino a cappella group that was on the Sing Off, and I think they got like second place or something like that the very first season. And they completely changed, and like, well, Ken Jeong's there, he's the Christmas tree salesman and also the used car salesman, which I thought was kind of funny because that could come back as this Christmas Story 2 sequel that we watched had a whole used car thing. But anyway, so he is also the owner of the Chinese restaurant, and then he the Philharmonic sings Deck the Halls, and like Maya Rudolph and the dad are like stunned, and then they're like, the dad says like, that's not what I expected, and Ken Jeong's like, what did you expect? Like it was so like accusatory and violent. I was like, whoa, like I totally get it why he was doing that, but it's like, okay, that one customer does not have like the 50 years of people saying fa ra 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 like put onto him. Come on, calm down, but anyways,
it was in his right.
And so he was just like, no, I just didn't expect that, and it was great. And then he starts bragging about how they're all Ivy League students except for the good-looking one or whatever.
So funny. He's like, they're all Ivy League except Joe, but he has a great personality.
But and I mean, and Ken Jeong and them say in the interview like, oh, we wanted, and then they say that this is such a great country because these people can have these opportunities. And Ken Jeong wanted to say like, well, what if this happens to just be like the most progressive town in Indiana, and they have that, and I was like, okay, great, but this is supposed to take place in like 1940. There's no second generation immigrants going to Ivy League school. Like I don't even know if they were allowed to go to Ivy League schools at that point. But it was a nice try, and it was like very cool. Like they did sound amazing. So
I was just gonna say I was kind of surprised that they even like dealt with that at all. I thought maybe they would just like do something different with the ending.
Right.
Because they had those carolers, and I feel like they were singing Deck the Halls at one point earlier.
They were.
I was like, oh, maybe that's the only reference to it. But
right.
Well, and I think there's a lot of interracial couples in the chorus. There's the thing obviously is totally like colorblind. My Rudolph gets her a whole song of because of not being the mom in the other movie is a shell of a woman,
right?
and we have the Anna Gasteyer song and all of these different things, and I think that all of these attempts, I go back and forth with it. Are these Some of them fell short. Some of them are interesting. But then I think about the people that were probably really angered by them, and then I enjoy them even more.
Yeah, there were probably people that were like, they ruined it by making
That's my
like,
favorite part.
Yeah. So, you know.
Stupid.
Oh, well.
It did feel generally like they kind of softened the dad a little bit from the movie. Because I haven't seen it in a few years, but I remember him being like so harsh. in
Right.
that,
Yeah.
Much like most dads of that era.
Yes.
They really like played up how much of an idiot he is in this one, which they gave him like 2 songs of just being like, I'm a stupid guy who thinks I'm smart. Yeah.
Well, and I think that a lot of that comes with the age of the actors because you need him to sing and dance and do a leg lamp kick line. You can't have like a 65-year-old guy or whatever. And the original dad was like obviously a bit older than the mom, and they were older as a couple also, and like seemed that they had their kids at a slightly older age, whereas this guy and Maya Rudolph are both like younger, and you know. So.
They should have got Daniel Stern back in there.
No, this guy was way better than Daniel Stern was, in Christmas Story 2.
No, I feel like that watching him perform this, I was like, damn, this dude's underutilized. Like, I know him from Silicon Valley, and that's
okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's Mickey Mouse.
Yeah. Oh.
That's true. That's true,
He's the new voice of Mickey Mouse. And he did it like briefly when she put the bowling ball on his lap. He did like a second
he
of
did,
Mickey
yeah.
Mouse voice.
Oh, yeah. I didn't
Yeah.
think about that. Oh, man.
That was very silly.
Yeah.
He was doing, there was my favorite moment, I think, of the entire thing is that at one point, because this was a live performance, a clock falls off a door.
Oh, yes.
And he just totally improved it and totally played it cool.
I was wondering
like,
about that. He's like, oh, what? Can you pick that up?
yeah.
I thought that was cool. One of my main problems with this, not only the music, but like I have the same issue with The Greatest Showman too, is that I just hate the child singers.
Yeah. Oh, no.
The kid who plays Ralphie is so fucking annoying.
He sings like an insane
and he's
person.
got the crazy
He
eyes.
has serious crazy eyes.
There's that, you sent that photo.
I sent it to Mike too.
Very early on, like, you know, there's always, there's this repeated motif of him singing like really quickly the Red Ryder BB gun. But like there's early on like a zoom in on his face as he's going gun, and it like zooms in on his face and his eyes are like bugged out, and I'm just like, wow. I just think that the kids singing, they just are like shouting the whole time.
Yeah.
It's not like good tone. So
They were.
I don't like it.
I found myself worried about him.
Right.
I can't explain that.
Is this kid okay?
Yeah, I did think that the Randy was cast very well. He didn't have to sing as much, but I thought he was one of the better sort of imitations of the original movie.
Yeah, and kid actor too. I thought he was very good. I agree.
I liked
some of the
how-
kids were bad. I hate to dunk on a kid, but
Yeah. I liked when they had the like we're all wimps or nerds or whatever that dance song was, but he was still in his like star-shaped snowsuit, so he couldn't really do the dance very well at all. And so, but he still kind of like sort of went along with it. It was really funny. He couldn't put his arms down at all.
I did not enjoy that song.
No, I didn't either. But I was just watching him being like, "You can't do that dance."
And I just think, you know, like I really didn't like Ralphie, and so I was sad that like there's so many songs with him, obviously, because he's like the main character.
You didn't like Ralphie to the Rescue?
I didn't like Ralphie to the Rescue cowboy song. No, I didn't like it. But I was like at the same time, I was incredibly impressed by like the children, like the group of children that were like the dancers that when they do that whole like Shoot Your Eye Out song with Jane Krakowski or whatever. I was very impressed by their dancing and everything. I was like, wow, these kids are amazing. Like, where did they find these guys?
They look like they perhaps were a child ska band that they found.
There was one kid in front too. He looked a little like oh my gosh, I'm spacing on his name from Room.
Tremblay.
Yeah.
Yes, Jacob Tremblay. But he was the eyes he was giving to the like he was like, I am crushing this, and you all love me. It was very funny.
I mean, you can't fault the Ralphie kid for I mean, the whole thing rests on him. It's live.
Yeah.
He knows that he just has to get this, you know, what is it? Something action, Red Ryder BB gun or whatever.
Look, I'm in the stock.
Yeah.
I don't think that tells time.
It's very and most of the time his line is just to jump up and yell that out and then go away again, you know? But yeah, his eyes were a little bit out of control.
Do you think Fox was like, can we get a special government mandate to give child cocaine to this boy?
Before we move too far away from it, the Jane Krakowski tap dance scene was very impressive, but one of the most unhinged choices. Why is the teacher character getting a 5-minute tap dance sequence? What is going on?
I kind of didn't like that, like I feel like a majority of the musical numbers were like Ralphie fantasy sequences.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, he has a lot of fantasy sequences in the movie, and you need things to be
it's a musical. It doesn't need to like also, it doesn't need to have like a layer of like, oh, well, this musical number needs to also be a fantasy dream.
No, it is.
Tell Rodgers and Hammerstein that you don't like their dream ballets. Okay,
but it's not every song.
It was, I guess their point was she has character depth because she has OCD.
Yeah, that was weird. I didn't like that addition actually because
what was the point of that?
I don't know.
She's gonna start the class and it's like she keeps interrupting herself.
She's lucky she's not in a sanatorium.
Yeah, I don't know.
Wow, I brought that to a
no. I'm just looking back at my notes now.
It did feel like that part was sort of meant for Jane Krakowski.
Yeah,
right. Her line delivery was very her in a way that worked. I just wasn't expecting the teacher to play such a large role.
No.
Yeah. I figured she must have her own song at some point since it's Jane Krakowski. So, but
yeah.
But you weren't expecting a giant tap number.
No, no. I was not.
I wasn't expecting the favorite children's Sunday school song, "This Little Light of Mine," to come into the leg lamp.
Oh yeah,
song.
That's true. Yeah. That did happen.
It was very funny. In one of the interstitials that just reminded me, they were like bragging about the costume designer, and I can't remember. I wish I'd written down exactly what they said, but they said something about this being like the first ever like lamp dress kick line.
Right.
That's right.
Of course it is. What are you talking about?
I mean, maybe they mean they didn't do that in the Broadway show.
That's what I thought maybe, but it was
weird. Don't give validity to
Which
it.
if they didn't, huge missed opportunity. I mean, that's just obvious.
Get Guinness on the phone.
Yeah.
I did just think it was funny that the version that you can go buy or rent wherever digitally is like they just copy pasted what was screened on TV.
Right.
It even pops up with the like tweet
Hashtag
a Christmas Story live for a special emoji, and I tried to do it, and it was like that you
have to pay for those to stay up on Twitter.
I'm sure it wasn't
glad you brought that up though, because on Amazon you cannot rent the movie; you have to buy it.
Yep.
So this is now the only movie that I own on Amazon Prime.
Nice.
I thought you could rent it. I saw.
No. I bought it on Apple TV.
I could rent it on Vudu, but
it was only a dollar difference, so I just bought it.
I bought it as well, just because
you might need to torture a POW.
I might need to make audio clips for.
Oh, they did make a joke about the La La Land Moonlight Oscar.
They did.
envelope.
They did do that.
Oh yeah, that was right. Was it me? Make sure. Yeah, that was funny. Yeah, good times.
So they were clearly still traumatized.
I know I made a joke earlier about Matthew Broderick being haunting the family, but it is confirmed in the film. Yeah. In the movie, he does have this line.
I decided to come back as a ghost, make them all feel bad.
So confirmed that he's a ghost throughout.
That's right.
I just love the scene where he's like handing Maya Rudolph beers out of the fridge while she's like singing that song about being a mom or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny. She hands him a pie straight out of the oven, and he grabs it with his bare hands, and then I was like, "What?" Like there was no pot holder on set. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
The speaking of the food, it was very funny when Randy had to do his like pig in the trough thing. You could tell that he hated doing it. He like immediately wiped his face off as soon as it was over.
It's gross.
He's like, I'm not a freaking animal.
Yeah. Oh, poor buddy. Oh man. All right. So I do think as I was watching this, and basically, Mike, A Christmas Story 2 was essentially trying to do this exact thing, but trying to be a different movie and not just being a musical version, but went through the exact same beats, probably had the same shot of the furnace being, and I found myself hating A Christmas Story 2 more as I watched this.
Yeah.
Because it's like, this is trying to do the exact same thing, but it's adding more to it than that movie did. Yeah.
Was that movie a continuation? Was it meant to be the same character?
Yeah, it's completely recast, but Ralphie is 16, and instead of a gun, he wants a car. 'Cause
And
America.
a girl.
Yeah.
And a girl.
And a girl, yeah.
Whoa.
Okay.
Drusilla.
Drusilla.
What?
That's her name. Her name is Drusilla. Yeah.
Okay.
That's all you
I'm
need.
gonna have to buy this movie now.
Don't do it.
No, don't do it.
Don't do it.
No, it's on HBO Max.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, don't give Bezos the pleasure.
What do you like about the ending? I feel like this was a change, unless you think the original movie like alluded to this. But when they basically just admit that Maya Rudolph knows the whole time that he's lying about the stupid icicle or whatever, like I thought that was actually kind of nice.
Oh yeah,
that the Matthew Broderick character was there to be like, wait, what? You know, like because in the original movie, like I didn't sense that.
right.
Yeah, they make her
I don't
out to be a
think
dummy.
Yeah,
Original movie.
exactly.
Right.
No, I thought that was a good touch.
I think her actually that and her song, like the changes they made to her character were some of the better choices. And there was a moment she sings like a little almost like couplet to Ralphie, not getting him in trouble for the fight. And I thought that was one of the best moments in the whole thing. It really worked for me.
Yeah. And the part where the dad sings to him at the end, like the parents get some good, like he sings like a really sweet thing to him, like when he's giving him the rifle or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Maya Rudolph's MVP in this, though.
Oh yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, she's got to be great because it's Maya Rudolph.
Yeah.
So, like, she better the mom better have some good material.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was wondering, and then even though that song was good, like I'm glad they didn't go overboard and make her like I don't know, like a working woman who's like I don't know, in politics or something. You know, they didn't try to go overboard because it's still that wouldn't be realistic to the time. So, yeah. What else?
One of my other favorite things, speaking of, we haven't quite gone through all the guest stars, but my other favorite part was it's always fun to watch, Fred Armisen and David Alan Grier yell at children.
Yeah. Although I feel like that the Santa scene could be completely removed and it'd be fine.
Yeah, but you can't do it without,
Yeah, you need the ho ho ho.
They did bring the slide back. So
slide was there. The
kid with the goggles.
Yeah,
they're trying to redo everything from the movie, so you can't not do the same.
This kid with the goggles had a full Joker grin. It was kind of unsettling.
That kid. I was thinking, is this still okay?
Got a wet one here. Give me a towel. I thought that song was kind of okay. I don't know. It was fun. It was a fun scene.
It was fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess all the songs are kind of okay.
I did think it was weird. Like the kids were like, I wonder what he smells like. And then there's one kid that's like, I wonder what he's drinking. And I was like, okay. No.
They should have shown him with a little
I think they do show him
they
later
do?
on.
I didn't
like,
see
with
that
a flask.
cutaway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that song definitely felt like they used a rhyming dictionary and just took the first word.
Yeah. I mean, like, I know you mentioned a couple songs you didn't like, but there were no songs that I thought were like, this is terrible, but the whole thing was just too long. Yeah. So it's like they should have cut something.
Let me ask you this. Has our tolerance for bad songs been brought so low by the Land Before Time series that we no longer can identify what truly terrible song is? Because there was 14.
Each one had exactly 3 songs.
That's right. Yeah. Oh my god.
No, those were really bad. But I don't think
these aren't that bad.
These aren't bad.
None of them are that bad.
Some of them are just fine or forgettable.
Sure.
But overall, I think this show's just too long, and they should have cut a couple scenes.
There was just nothing like the whole time I was just thinking about The Greatest Showman, and I was like, there's nothing in this musical that I'm coming out of like singing or humming or like I want to hear this again.
Yeah.
I was like, if I hear them say like it all comes down to Christmas like one more fucking time.
My god.
I don't care how many days are left.
I mean, Greatest Showman is just like such a miracle because almost every song is just like a straight up legendary banger. Like,
yeah, except the ones the kids sing. But.
Well, that's your decision.
It is true though. This one has no bangers.
Yeah,
there's nothing that I was like, I want to listen to that again.
Yeah, but there's also nothing that was like, oh my god, this is garbage. I want to,
I will say when the kids started singing like the night before, like
Fixing the lamp.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
That was so depressing.
That was a sad song.
That was so like such a weird way to make things turn in the last act. Like, oh, maybe our family could be whole again or whatever. If you eat your carrots, then maybe mom will come back. Like, oh god,
that was so weird. Yeah,
it was depressing, but I actually thought I did think that was the worst song, but I thought it captured that feeling as a kid where things that actually aren't that big of a deal. As a kid, you're like, oh, my parents are never coming back.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, I think the feel that what it captured was actually good, but yeah, that I guess you could have cut that out because it's not like it really goes anywhere. They're not really going to get divorced or something.
You didn't like the song "A Sticky Situation"?
Okay, so speaking of that song, with any of these live things, there's always a few hilarious mess ups, and in that, Flick's tongue clearly comes off
right in the first shot. Yeah,
yes. And there was another part in Anna Gasteyer's, I think her first scene. She misreads a cue card and then starts her line over. It was very funny.
Yeah.
No, there's a lot of live foibles to this.
Yeah.
Which is nice, actually. Yeah.
It's part of the charm of a live show. Yeah.
There was the thing that blew my mind is how many times there was just a car driving down the street.
Yeah.
I'm just why?
Well, they're on the lot.
I know, but
the Warner Brothers lot.
That's the one lot I haven't been
sister.
to. Do they have a street of residential houses?
It's small.
Crazy.
It's small.
It's the Gilmore Girls.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, there's a whole town square.
It basically still looks like it. Yeah.
I thought that was Universal.
No, it's Warner Brothers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you got to do the WB studio tour. It's pretty good. If you live in LA or visit, yeah.
Sounds expensive.
It's $57 for SoCal residents.
You just camp out in the water tower, and
I just looked at tickets the other day. No, it's a good tour. But I think they did a really impressive job of making it look like there's an interstitial thing about how someone worked with car collectors to get all those old 1940s cars. Yeah, that was cool.
Matthew Broderick opened a lot of car doors for them.
He did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He also played multiple parts, which was fun.
Right. He was the delivery guy.
Yeah. He's the postman, and he was the director of one of Ralphie's fantasies.
Right.
Fun.
Which I did like the black and white, that the Ralphie to the Rescue production.
Yeah.
Although that song,
you didn't like the cowboy song.
No.
I didn't. I mean, this was 2017, so it wasn't that long ago. So I didn't do a full child star check-in because most of them are still children and still acting in minor,
child
parts.
Stars.
Yeah, but I did write down that Scott Farkas, who wasn't even ginger and he didn't have yellow eyes and was not really as important in this. In this as he is in the movie. But anyways, he
find me a kid with jaundice.
Right. Sasha Carlson is on the just today canceled Julie and the Phantoms. And he is not one of the Phantoms. He's just some kid at her high school.
Poor guy.
So yeah, and then there was one kid that I actually recognized because I have nothing better to do than watch Dancing with the Stars Jr. But Artion Celestine was the shorter black kid that was in the chorus, and he was great. Second or third place on Dancing with the Stars Jr. He was paired with the little girl who plays young Gamora.
Oh man.
She was the star and he was just the dancer. Yeah.
He's right up front in that tap dancing sequence.
Right. Yeah,
he was one of the ones where I was like, oh
he's destroying it.
He's really great, and he was great on that show too. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, that was the child star check-in. And then we need to talk about the world's first ever live commercial, which was very hyped leading up to this.
Yes.
And it's funny because I'd recently seen a TikTok about this, and I don't know what I was doing in 2017, but I completely missed all this. I didn't watch this. I didn't know about Greatest Showman until after it came out.
We were super busy still just going, fuck.
It was at the end of the year. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was all towards the end of the year too, I think.
So this came out 7 days before Greatest Showman or something. So they did a live commercial at a different part of the lot, in a commercial break. They like have some like kids in snowy stuff like cheering for the Christmas Story, and then it transitions and they like see Hugh Jackman and they're like, whoa,
a showman.
Yeah, and then they start following him, and then he starts singing "Come Alive," but it's like that's not the one. So I don't know why they used that one.
They didn't know what the one was yet.
They didn't.
Yeah, it also sounded real.
It sounded
terrible.
really bad because it's from a movie. It's not from a Broadway live show. So. Zendaya came in late on her first note, and then
I haven't seen this.
Yeah, I just sent it in the Slack right before we came over here. But yeah, it was a live commercial. They do a whole number. Zac Efron comes, Kayla Settle comes, so she's wearing the beard, even though nobody really knows yet that she's supposed to be the bearded lady in the movie. Yeah. So people are probably just like, what? Yeah. Like, I don't. Why did she have to do that for this commercial? But anyway, they start performing and they walk up to like that big. Building with the columns, and that there's like 200 dancers or something in front of like Zac Efron and Hugh Jackman. I think there were more people in this live commercial for Greatest Showman than there were in the entire Christmas Story that is happening like one studio block away.
Right.
Yeah, and then afterwards they're all cheering and they're like, we did it! Yeah, live commercial! Which I'm like, how could it be the world's first live commercial? Like, newscasters do live commercials like every day.
Yeah,
you know, like,
go buy a mattress.
Not like this, they don't.
Okay.
They don't do it like this.
I mean, they folded a bunch of them into Annie. Speaking of that, like there was,
right,
they were going to the chorus and it's like, oh, here's Wendy's. And it was.
Yeah, I kind of wish it had all the commercials because I'm sure there were Old Navy commercials too because there was a big Old Navy in the town square of 1940.
Yeah. That totally existed, yeah.
So it was apparently a big deal.
It's the Old Navy. Of course it existed.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. It is
and
old.
I mean, everybody talks about Greatest Showman, especially around this time of year, because it was like, the first movie in 10 years that had legs at the box office and, like came out, didn't do good on the first weekend and just went progressively higher and higher and higher. So, yeah.
All because of that live ad.
Yeah, that must have been why.
And that's why there are so many of those now.
So many live ads.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Absolutely.
I actually did recognize Randy from something else. He's from that NBC sitcom Single Parents.
Yeah.
He was Leighton Meester's son in that.
Nice.
He's pretty funny in that.
Cool.
My favorite part with Scott and Farkas or whatever is like when they come in, they kick off that one song like, you got a C+. C+. They come like snapping into the classroom and I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
It's like, how bullies are like very into your grades.
You got a C+. I don't remember how it exactly goes, but something like that.
They were sort of dancing like they were jets or sharks.
Yeah.
I felt kind of bad for the Farkas actor because anytime they were doing like sequences with all the kids, he's like a foot taller than all of them.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't belong here.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I mean, I feel like that we're running out of stuff to discuss here. I think it's because there's just so much overlap.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess maybe we do a roundtable before we get into our rating system. If you had to choose a best song and you had to choose a worst song, do people have opinions on this? Or is it something where just like, they're all mediocre, let's move on?
Well, I don't know. Personally, for me, I thought it was really interesting that they included a song about the sequel in the movie. And let me just play it here for you guys so everyone can hear it real quick.
What a Christmas story too. A crazy Christmas story too. What a Christmas story too. A crazy Christmas story too.
Wow. Wow.
You son of a bitch. Don't let me take a sip of something before you do that.
I'm sorry.
Wow, there's some great seamless editing.
I thought, I was putting it together and I was like, I think the terrible editing is going to make it sound funny.
No, I think so.
It was really bad because I was laughing really hard putting that together. But actually, when I was watching the movie and I was kind of at this point, I was like, oh wow, it's funny. There's actually a song called "A Christmas Story" that's hilarious. And I was half listening to it, and they kind of crazy Christmas story too.
I did the same thing.
And my mind was like, Christmas Story 2. Ooh, I can edit that into a hilarious joke for the podcast.
They're probably like, how are we going to wrap this thing up? Oh, we haven't had a song yet where the title is in the song. So,
Terrible.
Yeah.
I thought that was really funny that the final song was called A Christmas Story.
Right.
So if you had to be played one of the songs from this production over and over,
I thought
every
that the
morning
opening song,
Groundhog Day style.
Not the BB Rexa, but the It All Comes Down to Christmas that kind of repeats or whatever. I thought that was okay. I was like, this could be edited and actually played as a Christmas song, on KOST or whatever. But then now that I'm thinking about it, I can't get the tune back, and I just keep thinking it all comes down to Christmas right this very minute, and I'm like, that's not right. So
that whole song is this year we're gonna do it, and then the Christmas, it all comes down to Christmas. Yeah, I think for me, no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say the only one that I can still hear the melody of is "When You're a Wimp" for whatever reason. I don't want to be hearing it.
That's amazing.
When you're a wimp all the way. That's all you think of. I can remember the words, but I can't remember the tunes. That's not good.
It's really drawn out. I'm not a singer, so I apologize, but it's when you're a wimp.
Oh, right.
Wimp. And then it's all about then you'll get big, and then you can kick their ass.
Right.
Yeah.
It should have gone the direction you'll have a job and they won't or something. I don't know.
You'll have a job and
go to college or whatever.
Oh man. Yeah, I can't sing. I can't sing any part of it back, but I do think the Anna Gasteyer song about "In the Market for a Miracle," I think it's called, or something like that. I really like that. When it started, I was like, oh, this is I don't know why, but my mind just immediately went to South Park Christmas. I was like, oh, this is South Park Christmas song, because they.
No, it was funny. It had a lot of good Hanukkah jokes about Jewish history,
and she's
in the lyrics.
Jesus was a Jew and all this stuff.
I love that part.
And I just I'm glad that she had a song, and when I learned that it was written just for this performance, I was like, oh wow, that's cool. And I just think she seemed to me to be having the most fun out of a lot of the actors in that.
In Avenue Q, they say Jesus was Jewish too in the same kind of way, but yeah, no, it was really funny. It was good.
Did it make you really want to watch a movie about a basketball team that needs to...
Yes. Yep. I'm down.
I think that the one that I remember the most, and I would watch again, maybe not the tune, but the My Rudolph Mother song, I thought was the most fun choreography, just the technical aspect of it. I thought it was a really... It was almost her own fantasy outside of the old mechanics of it, of, Ralph's identity. And I think that there was something really fun about that whole execution.
Yeah, the interesting thing about it being a stage show and not the fact that Matthew Broderick / older Ralphie is actually there and watching and walking around instead of just this omnipotent voice is he allows him to reflect more on what his parents were going through, which he does a little tiny bit in the movie, but not like this. And because then you can have musical songs where the parents are singing about what their, hopes and dreams and whatever is, you can learn a lot more about those characters.
That's a really good insight. I think that him being there allows for a lot of those songs to kind of exist organically.
Yeah, I did think it was crazy that this... there's 2 I Want songs because Ralphie has one and the dad has his own immediately after. So, I don't know.
All these dudes just wanting shit. Calm down.
Yeah, my favorite one, I mean, it's not even really a song. It was like 4 lines, but the little thing she sings to him when she decides not to tell his dad about his fight with Fargus, was my favorite part.
Yeah.
That's the type of like snippet of music that might not even be on the soundtrack.
Yep.
Yes.
You might not even be able to hear that again without watching it back.
Well, thank God I own it.
Yeah.
You're gonna watch this every year now.
Every year. Make it a tradition.
I like, now that I own it, I was like, oh, I should like show this to my dad at Christmas and see if he likes it, you know, because I thought it was like, overall it was cute and it would be good to like watch, and it wasn't like, you know, terrible. Just, I mean, it could have been better, but
I came away feeling like I don't like this that much, but I feel like it would be like a pretty good family musical to go see. Like, kids would probably enjoy it.
That's why these movies get licensed to be musicals, because you're in Times Square and you're looking up at the thing at tickets and you're like, Christmas Story is $20. You guys want to go?
Shrek, the musical.
Oh,
Shrek.
God.
Matilda.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm surprised that they use it for, it's very weird that they use it for this live thing, and maybe it was because of the relationship with Mark Platt and Ben Platt and Pasek Paul or whatever.
No, I think you got it immediately of just like these guys are on a meteoric rise.
Right.
And,
both of those issues, but like there's so many other musicals that you would think would have been picked first to be performed live on a major network after Grease.
Yeah.
Your next thought is not, oh, how about A Christmas Story, the little scene, you know, musical from 2010 that was completely rewritten and then never, you know,
everyone knows it.
Only comes out for 1 month every year, like possibly regional, probably not on Broadway, you know. So it's
A Christmas Story Kids.
Yeah.
Here's my hot take: the Evil Dead musical is better than this musical.
Okay, so
that.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that was in the back of my head the whole time though. That like, why this?
Yeah.
You know?
It was probably
be
all
a
about
Platt thing.
all about the cross promotion and everything. Yeah, I'm sure.
It's
And
interesting.
It
He really is everywhere, though, because I usually think of him as all Universal stuff. But this was on the Warner Brothers lot and produced by Warner Brothers for Fox. So
this is another Warner Horizon. Yeah,
not Warner Premiere though.
No. Oh, right. That's right.
So, I know, Tyler, we joked around about this at the last episode. If I was going to say that, is this a better musical than La La Land or whatever? Because I constantly joke around about other things being a better musical than La La Land. But really what it is semantics. Like, so it's like, yes, you say that I like hate Pasek Paul. I don't actually hate them. Like, I think they're very talented. They're probably geniuses. The songs are great. But what I didn't like was the discourse around La La Land and how it was the movie that saved musicals, because then it makes like it's not really a musical or that good of a musical. It's a movie with a few songs in it, a few of which are traditional musical, but not really. Most of them are just performances that don't move well.
And the movie on its face is not trying to do that either. Like it's like it is the discourse around it. Absolutely.
Right. And then you know, Dear Evan Hansen, like as a movie was rough, but I mean,
didn't see it.
I did not see it.
Oh, you guys didn't see it? Okay, yeah. The music is, but like it also has good songs. It has like a deplorable story.
To drop my least favorite song from the movie,
the baseball
song?
The baseball song.
Man.
My wife always makes fun of that song.
It's terrible.
I will say, you know, look, I loved the movie. Whatever. I'm alone in this. It's fine. There were things I wouldn't have changed that they changed, but you know, I still cried a bunch of times. Basically, anytime anyone started singing. And you know, Tyler, I respect your take on Dear Evan Hansen because you are an original hater. And it which is fine because it has now gone on this trajectory. I know this podcast isn't about Dear Evan Hansen, but it's gone on this.
Might as well be.
It's not about Dear Evan Hansen.
It took this trajectory where people have just forgotten how much everyone used to love it.
Love it.
You know?
Yes.
And it's like it won all the Tonys. The final week of Ben Platt's performances, the tickets were like $1,000.
Yeah.
I mean, people were losing their minds for it. And now everyone is like, oh, we always thought it was dumb.
Well,
you know, it's like
We all went to go see. Well, I don't
Yeah.
know if it was your first time. Well, we all went to go see the musical here in LA.
Yeah, I organized it and I bought group tickets from Center Theater Group for like 30 people.
Yeah.
And we all went together because I was like, yeah, this is like the hottest thing on Broadway. It's going to be so great. And then I was like, oh, I'm mad.
Yeah, we all went into it like, oh man, this is awesome. People love this. And then when we came out, we were all like, did you guys also not?
So no, we literally, I didn't know if you guys liked it for a while. Because me and my girlfriend and our other friends of the podcast, Stress and Alyssa,
they've been on.
We went to the Redwood Bar,
right.
And we walked far away from the theater, and then we were like, that was kind of bullshit, right?
I do feel like everyone immediately after the performance was kind of like, oh, that was cool. Great. See you guys.
I mean, when we watched it, I did still cry, even though I was really annoyed with the main character. But then you just can't like. There's no debate over whether or not the songs are good. The main songs, they're incredible.
The baseball glove
song, you can take it or leave it. Yeah, but.
I mean, it's also like there's no songs about Christmas, okay, in Dear Evan Hansen. So that's why we like this one better.
The one thing I thought that the movie improved upon is Evan's mom's song, which is fine in the show, but Julianne Moore just like destroys it in the movie. It was like one of the best sequences.
I really like that director. I'm a old school Perks of Being a Wallflower fan, and I will watch it at some point because I imagine that just from the choices that he made, I'm sure that there's probably some interesting stuff in there.
Yeah, honestly, like I didn't think it was as bad as the discourse made it seem like it was going to be. After the first 5 to 10 minutes, I sort of was like, okay, he is what he is. I wasn't like, oh, he's so old, you know, like, you know.
And it's like that, you know, if we're going to get around age discourse and male casting, like, you know, that's not the movie to really center that on.
Right.
True.
I was stunned by all of that, truly. Especially because if we're just talking specifically about Ben Platt, he played a high schooler 1 year before that on a Netflix show called The Politician that apparently lots of people watched. No one ever had an issue with that.
Right?
That's true.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I feel like, I don't know. Something's different about that show, but
I think
certainly they put him in a strange wig for the
I think
movie,
it's because he's supposed to be so sheepish and like shy.
I think that's what it is. It's the vulnerability when you have that kind of when he looks like a grown ass man.
Yeah,
like is harder. But at the same time, it's like, well, like then John Cusack's been doing that for a while. So
yeah. Well, anyway, I still like, if we're talking about the form of a traditional musical, this is more of a musical than La La Land. I will say that. Okay.
So you're saying from the rubric, if you're going off what was the assignment, if the assignment is a musical, this gets a higher grade
than La La Land. Yeah.
Okay.
But La La Land is fine, but I think that Dear Evan Hansen and Greatest Showman are have better songs. Yeah.
Okay.
And then Greatest Showman is better than all of their other work, in my opinion. But
I do think La La Land also follows the let's have lots of reprises.
There's
only a couple songs, but I really like La La Land.
I do too.
And
it's funny because I think that movie actually went through the same cycle of discourse that Dear Evan Hansen did, where at first the first reactions everyone was like, "This movie's amazing," and then by the end of it, everyone was like, "I never liked it."
The white guy.
I mean, I like it. I just don't want. It did not save the form of musicals.
Yeah, no, it was
just like Ryan did not save jazz. You know, like
you said, it was the discourse around it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Oh, West Side Story couldn't even do it. So.
I really want to see that too.
You should. It's great.
It is great. Yeah. So that's where I put this movie in the Pasek and Paul
Pantheon.
Orders,
The Pasek and Paul Pantheon.
Yeah.
The Triple P.
And so what they were doing, they were like, we got to dig back into their catalog and put everything out right now, you know? But they're not dead. And they're not that old. So it's like, let's just wait for them to come up with some new good things.
Let's leave this one in the drawer.
Yeah,
maybe.
it's not like, it's not, I think the same kind of thing happened with like Jonathan Larson, who tragically passed away. And Rent was a huge thing. And so that everyone was like, we got to dig back into like anything that exists. And that's why like Tick, Tick, Boom is is at every college, with like 3 people doing it, like because it's easy to put on and it's like, well, it must be good. It's his, And actually, I really like that movie on Netflix. That's a whole other story, but yeah.
It's really, really good.
It's incredible. Yeah, I'll just say on the record that I want Andrew Garfield to win the Oscar.
I really want to watch it. My girlfriend is just like, it's going to hurt my heart too much.
So
I guess I have to come up with a rating system for this. Oh, how many perfectly trained dogs from a Japanese zoo stealing a fake turkey off a table would you give?
That was hilarious. The dog
amazing.
went in and grabbed only the turkey, nothing else. And it was actually the old man who pulled the table.
He was like, oh no, the dogs didn't mess it up enough. I have to do it.
Yeah, I have to make it look worse. They were too well trained, those Japanese dogs.
they're Japanese. I mean, come on.
So anyone who can remember everything that I just said.
Already forgot.
Yes.
Yeah, I will give this 7 well-trained dogs saved from a zoo in Japan. Because I thought for one of these live musicals, like it was great, really like top notch. Like Fox does a better job than NBC at these musicals. Like,
the NBC
sorry,
one is
NBC,
so stilted, my God.
and sorry, ABC. The Little Mermaid one was not so great either. The Fox just does it. They go all out. They get Zach Woodley, who's an amazing choreographer of all the Murphyverse and pretty much everything live that has existed in the last 10 years or so. But anyways, they do the best job, and as a film, it's like probably not the greatest, but this was a TV special, so whatever.
Yeah.
I say 7.
I think this is the first live thing that I've actually watched.
Oh, really?
I don't really get into watching the other ones. Like I don't care.
My parents tricked me into watching Annie.
That's funny. So I guess I had seen I've seen clips, but this is the first one I watched all the way through. And so I think I'm going to give it 5.
Well-trained Japanese rescue zoo dogs.
Rescue zoo dogs with the turkey. Because I think like almost all those points are going to be just for like the production in general. It's very impressive. The fact that like, you can see how much hard work has gone into this whole thing. And, you don't even need the interstitial things to be like Emmy winning person, Emmy winning this. Like every single person was a like Emmy nominated person. But it's like, you can just watch it straight through and be like, oh my God, I can't believe they do this. It's all in one, pretty much like in one take or whatever. Very impressive. But yeah, the musical itself is very not good. You can tell that it's just them getting started. You can kind of, you can get some of the, I feel like the stuff that they're more well known for and like is really popular. The songs are a little bit more poppy. So it's interesting that like I liked the Bebe Rexha one, which is like a bit more of a poppy song. The musical itself is very more like classic Broadway, like kind of big bandy jazz style music for the most part. And it's just like, none of the songs are super memorable. So I think it's just a 5, it's okay. If you want to watch it with your family, cause you love A Christmas Story and kids might enjoy some songs and stuff, like fine, but I'm not going to be like, you got to watch this.
Yeah, it's like if they tried to make, like, oh, James Cameron, like he's makes a bunch of really popular movies. Let's make a musical of Piranha 2.
His first film.
Yeah, leave this one in the drawer. I feel like that I have to give this also 5 well-trained Japanese rescue zoo dogs, but I gave the original 4. So I'm going to have to upgrade. I will say that this actually made me appreciate the iconic things a little bit more, and having seen them riffed upon. Because, Mike, I don't know if you know that I did not have any like affinity for The Christmas Story and watched it for the first time.
Oh, wow. Okay.
All the way through this year. Like it's always been on TBS. I had the revolving door experience of it where I've seen scenes out of sequence and everything else. And I think that this is the only movie franchise we've ever done. Well, actually, maybe that's not true. I feel like by the end of all the franchises, we appreciate the first one much more.
That happens a lot. Like, we didn't know how good we had.
Yeah, so I think that very much happened here, but genuinely happened here. And it's not that this is so bad I miss that. I think that there are a lot of iconic and meaningful scenes and narratives that are in the first one that, after seeing them be riffed upon terribly with Christmas Story 2 and semi-musically in this one. 5. And yeah, the technical aspect of it was the show is it would be incredible to put on. I can't imagine the fact that they had so little mistakes is mind-boggling to me.
It's impressive.
Yeah, it was pretty mind-blowing, the technical stuff, all the choreography and the camera work. And, like you guys both said, that's a lot of the credit I give to it. I wish the songs had been better. There's something about like adapting a movie into a musical. I mean, sometimes it works, but you're forcing it. It's very difficult structurally. It's just not the same. But I love a musical. And at the end, when they were all bowing, when little Ralphie and Matthew Broderick hugged,
same.
I was getting weirdly emotional.
I
was like, they did it.
They did it. Yeah. They put on the show.
I was very excited. So I'm also going to go 5 well-trained Japanese rescue dogs.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, this was Eliza's favorite musical since La La Land.
Of the Pasek and Paul, maybe.
Is this where we just roll into our podcast about soft power?
Yes.
Oh my God. Nobody even knows what that is.
Well, the next time we'll see those guys, Pasek and Paul, I don't know which one it is. Apparently they have a project called film called Lyle Crocodile coming out next year.
Oh, the book?
Yeah. Adaptation of the children's story. And
but is that going to be, is it a movie or a Broadway?
It's a movie.
Oh.
Sony Pictures movie, live action animated musical comedy film.
Okay, we'll see.
And it says they're also listed after that is Snow White and the Seven Dwarves and something called The Planets. Yeah.
Oh.
Is that a live action Snow White?
Yeah, it's with Rachel Zegler from West Side Story.
Oh.
And they also we didn't talk about live action Aladdin.
Yes,
and then
they're
also working on.
They did the
Is it
Speechless
Little Mermaid
song.
or something?
I don't see that listed in their.
Oh, never mind. The Little Mermaid's Lin-Manuel and Menken, but I thought that they were doing another one besides Aladdin. Anyway,
Snow White is the only other thing, and the planets. I mean, that's just.
Is
on
it like
Wikipedia,
the planets, like the symphony?
I hope so.
That's what I'm wondering. I don't know.
I got to say, I really do not care for the live action Disney remakes.
A lot of them have been bad, yeah. Except for Pete's Dragon.
Most of them just feel kind of pointless. Like, why did we do this?
Yep. Yeah. Agree.
Yeah.
Well, because Jon Favreau had a real cool tech demo. It came with my compact Presario. That's dope.
Well, I hope you're ready for The Lion King 2.
Yeah.
And also
Barry Jenkins.
The Lion King 2, not actually based on The Lion King 2.
Right.
Lion King 1.5. Yeah.
No, not based on that either. But oh gosh, I mean, we could talk about that all day because I have theories. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, this is the end of 2021 for us. We celebrated the holidays with A Christmas Story, and we had lots of fun guests, including Mike, who is here today.
That's right.
Thanks for being here with us, Mike.
Yeah, thank you guys. It was a lot of fun.
Is there anything that you want to plug before we head out?
I don't have much in the near future, but I'll plug my brother's podcast. My brother Joey has a podcast called Joey versus Friends. It is a trivia show where he competes against people in trivia about the show Friends, which he is an obsessive fan of and knows way too much about.
Dang.
And I've been on that a couple times. Occasionally I go on and do very stupid characters.
It is a delightful podcast, and I highly recommend it.
Yeah, it's mostly a trivia show, and he is a psychopath. One thing they do is they'll give him they'll pick a number between 1 and 200, however many episodes of the show there are, and he will have to say the title of that episode, and he gets it right about 25% of the time, which is too much.
Wow.
For anyone.
Just too many.
That's nuts. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, cool. Check out it's Joey versus Friends, is what he said,
Yes.
right? Yes. Check it out wherever you can find your podcast.
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, thanks for listening all year long, and send us your suggestions for next year.
January-based movies.
Yes. I mean, what is that even?
I don't know. That's for
Martin
that's
Luther
for the
King
high
Jr. Day movies. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's based on his birthday, so you can't even say like Selma. You know. Okay, anyway. Email us at sequelrights@gmail.com or find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Sequel Rights.
And please rate and review us on Apple Podcast. If you put inside your review what Pasek and Paul should adapt next, what classic beloved film they should make a musical out of,
Rambo.
I bet it'll happen. Oh my God, Rambo.
That would be amazing.
It's that would be no stranger than Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark.
Oh yeah. I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet.
Tremors the musical. Here we go.
Tremors the musical. That could be good.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for spending 2021 with us, you guys. We'll be back next year. We don't know. We're still in the midst of discussing what we're going to do first, but we'll probably be off hanging out with our families and just recharging for a little bit. But we'll be back next year and be following us on our socials and everything to see what we'll be talking about next. Until next time, have a great holiday and end of the year. We'll see you guys next year.
Feels like